All right, we're going to run a test here to see if this is all working still. I'm going to show you about the horses, the apocalyptic horses. All four of them that used to be in the Old Testament are coming into the future, the last days. So Jesus talks about them as the beginning of sorrows, and then the book of Revelation talks about them as killing 25% of the earth. Jesus introduces the horses as the beginning of sorrows right here. And we see that in Matthew chapter 24, verses 5 to 7. Okay, make sure you look at that, 5 to 7. That's the beginning of sorrows right here. But then Jesus says, there shall be great tribulation. So we see the great tribulation, that's seal 5. What does it happen when Jesus says the beginning of sorrows in verse 8? What's the next verse? Verse 9. They'll hate you and kill you of all nations for my name's sake. That's seal 5. What's happening in seal 5? What's happening in seal 5 is that the saints are being killed for their faith. Boom. That's Matthew chapter 24, verse 9. Beginning of sorrows, right here, coming up. The four horses are coming in. The beginning of sorrows are coming in. Verse 8, that's the beginning of sorrows. What? Somebody deceiving to take over the world. Wars, rumors of wars, famine, and then finally death, pestilence. It's all increasing. They've been around forever. We've seen them in the Old Testament. We see them in modern times. Black Death, World War II, World War I, all that stuff. These guys have been writing the beginning of sorrows. This stuff, who knows how long that's really taking, the beginning of sorrows. It could be taking decades. It could be taking centuries. But it's going to increase. It's possible that this is 3.5 years, 42 months. Satan's going to have power. The woman's going to be protected for 1,260 days. That's 3.5 years also. But it's possible that there's another 3.5 year period where these guys are going to just increase in power, increase in power, increase in power, until the first horse is 100% fully developed right here at the beginning of this 3.5 year period. The Antichrist is going to have full power during that time period. He's not going to have full power over here. Okay? The Antichrist is not going to have full power until this seal 5 is open. So the first four horses are the beginning of sorrows according to Jesus, Matthew 24 verses 5 to 7. Then Matthew 24 verse 9, boom, they're going to hate you and kill you in all nations. Then Matthew 24 verse 21, there shall be great tribulation during this time period right here, where the abomination of desolation is set up, and still continued deception, false Christ, false teachers are all going to be building up in this area as well. Okay, so, there could be some 7-year period here. Because I don't believe in the last 70th week of Daniel needs to come into the future to have a 7-year period here. You don't need that. Jesus is telling us that in Matthew 24, verse 21, that then shall be great tribulation. Then he tells us in verse 29 to 31, after the tribulation, I'm going to gather you into the clouds. And then what happens is there's a 75-day period where the wrath of God is going to be poured into the world, and then the fowls of the air are going to eat the men of the earth, their bodies, and there's something going to go on in heaven. We have the judgment seat of Christ, and we have the wedding supper of the Lamb, all pictured in Revelation 15 and Revelation 19 in heaven before we come back with him on the earth. That is seal 6 right here, the wrath of God. So that means the resurrection rapture takes place right here. Okay. Now, I just wanted to quickly do that. It's fun. I could make this a lot better. I do to make it a lot better. But I think I'm running out of time on this video. Hopefully you can hear me all the way through this. Hopefully that makes sense. Some of you that have been studying this with me for a while know all this already, and you're learning it more and more. You're getting stronger in your understanding on this. I'm learning. I'm recently figuring out that Jesus talks about these four horses as the beginning of sorrows in Matthew chapter 24, and then says there'll be great tribulation. They just increase in strength. They increase in strength all the way up till the main thing about horse number 1 is that horse number 1 is basically the takeover of the world. There's a guy that's going to sit at the top of that, and he's going to call himself God. He's going to call himself God. So with that horse, these four horses, even though they're the beginning of sorrows, They're the beginning of sorrows. They've been in the Old Testament forever. They're coming in as the beginning of sorrows. Horse number one has to be in power right here when this 42-month seal 5 Great Tribulation period takes place. So these horses are going to continue. You're going to continue to see famine. You're going to continue to see war. You're going to continue to see death. And by the time we get to the fourth seal, 25% of mankind dies. And then we have the trumpets blowing. By the time we get to the sixth trumpet, another 1/3 of mankind dies. 1/3. And so what we have is 50% of mankind dead by the time the seventh trumpet blows. And there's 50% left for what? Seal 6. Seal 6, the remaining 50% of the world go through the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. Okay? And that's good. No water, no sunlight. It's going to be, it's close as hell on earth as you can get. And what happens here is only the people that go underground survive. Christ comes down at the sixth vial of wrath, and he makes war with the men of the earth, kills everybody except for those who are safely underground. All right? And then there's a 45-day period of cleanup, and then the kingdom is set up. That's as far as my knowledge goes on it, my understanding goes on it. I hope that makes sense. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.